Hello everyone, my name is Ben and welcome back to Pass the Aux Chord, a channel where I would like to thank you for 900 subscribers. I'm a little late to the party technically because we're at like 905 or something like that now. But thank you to everyone who has stuck around for these videos. I appreciate you all very much. We're getting really close to that big one. We're getting close to them quadruple digits, and you know, I love to see it. I love the community we're building up on here, and thank you all so much for that. That being said, another channel related thing that I'm going to quickly bring up before we get into the music in this video is that I am going to be talking about the No Old Music challenge that I have just started. It's day number 1. We're 12 hours into it, exactly 12 hours because it is noon as of when I started recording this. And I'm going to be talking about the experience so far. I said I'd keep you guys updated on everything, so at the end of this, stick around for that. That is when I'm going to talk about it, because I imagine some of you are not quite as interested in that as the music. And today we're going to be looking at Black Holes and Revelations by Muse. This is the first time I've actually sat down and listened to an entire Muse record. I've heard a couple things from them, but it's all been more recent stuff, just when it came out. It's stuff that I've skimmed through a little bit. I know I heard parts of Simulation Theory when that came out, but I also know that that's not necessarily one of their most praised albums either. This, however, definitely seems to be one of the most well-liked in their catalog, and I'm excited to check it out because I've always been looking at this band as something to look into in the future. So hoping that this is a good experience for everyone here involved. All that being said, rambling aside, now that we've done that for a few minutes, it is time to check out track number 1, Take a Bow. This already has like a sci-fi kind of feel to it. Don't know how else to put it. It's very theatrical. It's definitely a dramatic build-up of some kind, I have to imagine. It's important to mention they're definitely talking about corrupt politicians here. There it is. Ooh. Wow. Damn, okay, that sounds really cool. Very nice synth work here. Loving the raw texture of the guitar within this very synthetic mix. Stand out all the more prominently. Damn, those backing vocals. Sounds really good. This is such a good payoff. Damn. Whoa. Damn. Holy shit. Ah, damn it. I'm wondering if the transition is very there because it was on shuffle. Let me check that out real fast. Yeah, never mind. There's hardly a transition to speak of. Honestly, that part of it is kind of disappointing, all things considered, because it would have been very clever to have the next song start with that very staticky sound, but I can understand why you wouldn't want to do that for the second song's sake as well, because it's starting off with that very staticky instrumental noise would be very off-putting to certain people, I suppose. The closest connection I have to something like this would be Starset. I really used to be into them. It's not really something that I've revisited, but I really loved their album Vessels when that came out. My taste in music was nowhere near as good back then, but in my eyes that was like some crazy kinds of perfect music or some shit like that. But either way, this is like leagues above that in a way, because I never remember with Starset a build-up and a moment of clarity that just ended up being so dense like the ending of that song. It really built up its climactic energy till the end of that to just have this incredibly atmospheric and climactic, to use the word again, finish there. The lyrical content on here is pretty obvious. They're talking about corrupted leaders in the world and how they will have to meet their inevitable demise. It's not like it's anything super deep, but honestly, I feel like that's the better approach to go about it with when making a track like this anyways. I feel like burying it in specifics or nuance can make it feel dated. Some people put that as like a negative because it makes someone feel like they're fence sitting a bit and not really taking an actual stance on the issue. But generally speaking, I mean, nowadays I hear songs about Bush and stuff like that, you know, that were made a decade ago, and it ends up being like, that's kind of outdated nowadays. So I think it was pretty perfectly executed, all things considered. Great opener track. Like it a lot. Starlight is the name of the next song. Also, quick wanted to mention this is going to be a 2-part video, 1 part today, 1 part tomorrow, because this is over 45 minutes in length. Just thought I should get that out there in case anyone didn't realize. Energy this time around. Oh, hell yeah. Picking up now. Really liking the second melody going on in the left side of the mix right now. Oh! You dropped the title! That's when you know shit's getting real. Oh, alright. Just cutting back to the regular bass line. A certain way already, man. This is crazy. Oh, chills on that last line. God damn. This is some nice music. Definitely, man. Wow. So it's kind of an elephant in the room that is commonly brought up with Muse. A lot of people like to say they're a Radiohead ripoff, okay? That's something that everybody has heard at some point. I have barely listened to Muse. I've barely shown interest in Muse, and I've already heard countless times people calling them a Radiohead ripoff. And look, I see where they're coming from just from listening to that song, but they're doing something very different with it. It's not necessarily just jacking their sound entirely. We live in the type of world where Van Halen and Greta Van Fleet both exist, okay? There's bands that are nearly doing cover band type shit. And I feel like it's somewhat of an outdated view to say that Muse is ripping off Radiohead, because now that I have this perspective and I can see like the elements of the vocals and the fact that you're taking electronic elements of music and mixing them with a lot of rock elements, I can see where you're coming from with that, but at the same time it just doesn't give off the same energy as Radiohead at all. This is much more blatantly loud and atmospherically huge than Radiohead ever is, at least in my opinion. These seem very theatrical and sci-fi, whereas I don't really get that impression from Radiohead ever. So now that I've put that out in the open air, I'm not going to speak on it anymore because I just wanted to see where people were coming from on that side of things. But that track was fucking amazing. I mean, lyrically speaking, let's be completely real here and just go out and say that this isn't like quite as deep as it wants to be, but much like the previous track, I don't think it really needs to be to convey its point. The song is about things turning into what you don't want them to be over time. Your whole life, your situation, your dreams and aspirations, the way you planned it isn't always how it's going to be. And I think that that's a very relatable message and one that's important. You know, that's a very big thing to have a song about the realization that everything's not always going to be exactly how you hoped. But at the same time, it kind of has this uplifting feel to it. It just like pats you on the back saying, it'll be alright anyways, and you just gotta keep going. That's what I'm getting from it. I like the song a lot. I really like the mesh between the more synthetic poppy elements and the rock bass sounds in there. You had this gritty bass line trudging through the track on top of like just beautiful but very pop-centric harmonies going on at the same time. Really cool track. Loved it a lot. I'm really liking where this is going. So, Supermassive Black Hole is the name of the next track. They really know how to start it off. The very rockin' groove to it. Alright. Wow, that was odd. It's like this sudden moment of static in there. I love the way this blends together. Really like the way the pre-chorus blends with the chorus. Oh, hell yeah, dude. This sounds really cool. They're calling this a guitar solo. Not sure that's how I'd put it. Cool stuff, man. You know, I've been noticing these tracks aren't necessarily short in length, but still they end up feeling like they are. This is kind of the wrong one to mention it on, because this is the shortest one we've seen so far, 3.5 minutes, but it flew by. And the other ones being 4 minutes exactly, and I think track 1 was over 4 minutes. Yeah, over 4 minutes. They really don't overstay their welcome in any way. It just immerses you into this very spacey environment. They are really committing to the like sci-fi aspect of their music, and I like that a lot. That just is a cool feeling to have with their music. And to again bring up that Starset comparison, I feel like that band is extremely influenced by Muse at this point in time. I hadn't ever listened to Muse at the time that I was really into Starset, but now thinking about it, all things considered, that's definitely why I'm making that comparison, because they came around nearly a decade after this, I think, at the earliest. But they're really committed to just using as many big fancy words in here as possible. And I don't mean to say that like every word in the song is some weird sounding, nearly made up word or anything like that. It's not necessarily like that. It's just that everything has this ring to it that isn't quite worldly, and they'll throw a word in there that just sounds kind of not grounded in reality, which is cool. It's a neat aesthetic. What can I say? I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for that type of stuff. Map of the problematique. Seems like a weird way of spelling problematic, but I'm not sure. Is that a different word? I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay, so it is basically a research question according to Google. So I think this is more something that would be like the definition of a certain problem. So I'm glad that I looked that up, actually, because my small brain vocabulary couldn't quite comprehend it. Anybody will tell you that I have a severe case of Neanderthalism. But Map of the Problematique, we're going to go with that, I guess, is the name of track number 4. The reverb on everything just makes the environment so dense and lush. That is nice. Vocals right now. Wow! Ooh! The drumming's doing good things right now. Love that. Thank you very much. Riffs! Whew. Okay, so quick critique that I want to throw its way, I guess. So, look, the lyrical content, it needs a little work because it's coming across really melodramatic. Just in the way that this is pretty much just talking about relationship problems. And as much as that can be something with very strong emotions attached to it, don't get me wrong, it's just that you have this extremely huge, extravagant sound for such a worldly issue that comes down so far to just a personal disconnect between two people, you know? That's something that I usually love about typical indie rock, pop punk, emo, shit like that. That's when, you know, as much as it gets made fun of for it, you can really get to those kind of emotions and it feels right. I haven't had a moment on here since the first track when I felt like the sound really matched the lyrics, because that's about some uprising against huge world leaders. That's like a world rising monumental event that's catastrophic and causing all kinds of chaos. This is just some dude being sad that his girl doesn't like him anymore or something. It's not that it's even not well written. It's just that it doesn't really match, at least to me. But luckily, I can totally look past that and appreciate this song for exactly what it is. And what it is sounded fucking amazing again. The riffage, the drums happening on that track, just hit in such a good way. I mean, I realize this isn't like a debut or anything. They were pretty well established at this point in their career. I'm fairly certain of that fact. But the mixing engineers behind this record, I have to give so much props to, because it's mixed in such a way that just really makes you feel what exactly it's going for with the sonic stylings of this record. It's always just been really nice in that way so far. So all things considered, I don't really have a complaint to throw that track's way whatsoever if you ignore the lyrics. As soon as you can get past that, I think that song sounded absolutely amazing. And Soldier's Poem is the next track on here. And I feel like this might get a little bit political again. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Oh, it already has like the marching rhythm to it. It's very stripped back in comparison. Holy shit, that was something, man. Wow. Yeah, that was totally different than what I was expecting, but at the same time, it did definitely more so take a political stance on things. A soldier who is going to war, very disgruntled, speaking about how they have put their life on the lines and still no one respects what they've done and they don't even really know what they're fighting for. That is hard to think about, I gotta say. You can really tell a lot about the political times that we were in by the music that was made at that point, I think. I think that's definitely fair to say, and this, it always acts as kind of a time capsule of what the issues in the world were, and I realize this was only 2006. It was in my lifetime, okay? It's not like it was ages ago or anything, but still, just to look back and see what exactly was going on, what some of the problems may have been. But of course, war is an ongoing issue, and that's something that everyone just has to deal with. But what really amazed me about that song is how it was dramatically stripped back in comparison to everything else. That was incredibly simple compared to the earlier tracks, but they still made it have this dense atmosphere to it because of those vocals that came in. It was mixed on both sides at certain points, just made it all seem so stripped back and subtle, but so enormous and dramatic at the same time, if that makes any sense. It still has that huge feeling of importance to it because of these like angelic voices coming through on the track. It's crazy how much it did in the short amount of time that it had. It really just presented itself in a way that kind of blew me away on there, I gotta say. Yeah, I'm very impressed with that one. Invincible is the name of the next track on here. This one's another single, so I'm expecting this to be, you know, fairly radio, somewhat catchy, so on and so forth. It kind of has that marching rhythm to it of the last track, leads in well because of that. Okay. I feel like these lyrics are coming across kind of weak, man. That lead into the chorus was so overdramatic. Okay. Okay, that's pretty cool sounding, I gotta say. Really liking the guitar melody going on in the back there. Adds a lot. Oh shit, kick the camera. The vocals are just kind of obnoxious too. Yeah, the instrumentation on this track is still doing a lot right. Trying to tune it out so hard. Because the instrumental sounds really good. Okay. Man, I don't like it when I go into an album and the only thing I harp on is either the vocals or the lyrics or even just any of the specific other elements where it's just like one member's contributions, because then I feel like I'm bashing them directly. But no! Okay. Let me back up a little bit here. It does match the sound. Okay, this lyrical content matches how the song sounds. We'll put it like that. It's more fitting than the like relationship-based kind of tracks were. But you had so much going for you on Soldier's Poem there. And I feel like there's so many better ways you could have done that. This song was so vaguely optimistic. And vague optimism is something that personally annoys the shit out of me. I don't know, call me an edgelord, okay, but I'm about realism. And this song just feels like this, you can do anything. You're invincible. Like, it's the same idea as hearing Pharrell sing about how I should be happy for the 1000th time while I'm hearing it in a grocery store. It's the same mentality, okay? Just because Pharrell tells me that I'm happy doesn't mean I'm suddenly happy. And just because Matt Bellamy tells me that I'm invincible doesn't mean I'm invincible, okay? That huge gripe of mine aside, I also think the vocal presentation on that track was hard to tolerate. It was all just rising up so dramatically and just like plummeting back down as soon as the chorus came in. It was so overly impassioned, I guess. Like, it just, there wasn't something about it that should have been that exciting to say. And there wasn't. It didn't match the like density of lyricism that was actually happening on here. It just was so shallow, and yet still you had this completely dramatic presentation of it. My huge gripe aside, though, that song had an amazing instrumental, but I can say that about literally anything here, so I don't know why I would come back to this one, like, specifically, I guess. Of course, it was blending more rock and electronic elements, and wow, I've said that so many times, I need to stop saying it. Wow, I am broken record mode today. But either way, it sounded really nice. and it had the same sentiment, almost to a higher degree, that the actual song's lyrics did. Hearing this instrumental alone would make you feel more invincible than hearing the words that you're actually invincible. Being as this looks to be one of their more popular tracks in general, I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate me for my take on this track, and that's just an unfortunate reality of it. So, sorry about that. Not trying to offend anyone, but man, I couldn't. Okay, so I did not think about the fact that this was going to be a two-part video when I had initially stated that we are going to be talking quick about the No Old Music Challenge real quick in here and how it's been so far. So my bad on kind of splicing this in here at an inconvenient moment, but here it is nonetheless. I do still want to talk about this. So I stayed up till midnight last night, so I literally was just there for the first start of the challenge, and I was sitting there like looking at my records and everything, thinking, wow, I should really spin something before I have to start doing this. And then the worst thing ever happened. So I'm very superstitious about this because I don't even know why I picked it up, but somewhere along the line I picked up the superstition that as soon as you set a record on your turntable, you have to play the whole thing or it's bad luck. So I slapped Black Midi Schlagenheim, that one right there, and said, wow, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to listen to while I send out this new start, this challenge that I'm going to be doing. I want this to be the last thing that I listen to. And I realized right after I set it down that it's 11:40. So I did what any sane person did and waited until 11:59 to turn the volume all the way off, and then that was almost the end of side one. I was so disappointed I didn't get all the way through it, but nonetheless it actually worked out pretty well because the song Western on there is the last one on side one, and it has this nice fade out moment, so it was almost like weirdly poetic in a way. But then, like a lunatic, I had to spin the record over, play it on 72 RPM just so it'd be over quickly and wouldn't torment me any longer, and just had to play the entire thing with the sound off because I'm a masochist like that and I think it's gonna curse me or something. I'm not really sure why. Other problem arose when I lost one of my wireless earbuds earlier today. Now this has happened a few times because I lose everything and I'm just terrible with that. I set it down literally downstairs. It wasn't even in my room. I was just being completely stupid. But nonetheless, what I usually do in that event is put the one earbud where I know where it is, somewhere where it's like under something, not creating any sound that I wouldn't be able to hear, like outside of having it actually in my ear. I'll put it under a blanket, under a towel, something like that, so it dampens the sound. And then I turn some music up really loud. And I almost sat there and listened to Arctic Monkeys because it just, I almost hit play and just still had it in my ear, like about to take it out. It was almost an intentional like playing of one of their songs because I still had my Arctic Monkeys playlist open. I would just blast music so that then it would provide sound coming out, and I'd be able to hear the other earbud from a ways away. But obviously that would have ruined the point of the challenge because now I had heard it technically. So I just had to go on YouTube and play some loud sound effects. So that's how day one has went for me so far. But obviously listening to this album so far has been a good experience. So that's one great thing that's came out of it as of yet. So yeah, now roll to the outro, I guess. That being said, we are 6 of the 12 tracks of the way through this record, and we will be covering track 7, Assassin, through track 12, Glorious, on the next part of this. It'll be part 2 up tomorrow, linked pretty much everywhere. It's going to be linked in a little box thing somewhere around here right about now. Maybe it already is by this point. I'm not sure. It'll be coming up over here. It's linked in the comments. It's linked in the description as well. If you're watching this more than, I'd say, 30 hours later than the first upload. In fact, this one will go up pretty late. So if this is 24 hours later than the first part, you can pretty much count on that being linked all over the place. Do go check out part 2. We'll love to see you over there. And drop a like on the video if you did like what you saw today, and subscribe to the channel for more music related content coming your way. Make sure to turn on notifications when you do that as well, so you never miss an upload. But that is just about going to wrap it up for this one, and I will see you in part 2.